Let's freaking go! Jhase Thomas commits to LSU. Comment below if you're like me and your absolute favorite thing in the world is when that Louisiana 3-star, that diamond in the rough, gets that LSU offer, takes it, and then gets to Baton Rouge and exceeds all expectation. And of course, Jhase Thomas is a Destrehan high school commitment. We remember Justin Jefferson, probably the most famous example of this. But look, I'm going to be honest. I thought Ole Miss was actually going to win out in this. I'll tell you why a little bit later. But we always start with the recruitment in our videos. I'll give you a scouting report a little bit later. But my major takeaway is I'm very happy that a young defensive back coach by the name of Jake Olson gets his first safety commit. He is a new safeties coach. And just a little scout right here. This is my favorite play from his game tape. I want you to take a look at this. This is amazing processing. Instead of going for the kill shot, he sees that his fellow safety right here has this tackle made. This young man, I believe, actually did go to Ole Miss, number 5. He makes the tackle, and Jhase Thomas is like, look, I don't need to come in for a kill shot. Let me put all my might into stripping this football out and watch him just honey badger this thing. He puts his body on the line, squeezes that thing out, and you get a nice crucial turnover. That is really good processing, and a little bit later you'll see a few of these other high IQ football plays. But I want you to get excited for Jake Olson. As a young coach, you want to get that first commitment under your belt, and I do believe Jhase Thomas has a lot of upside. Also, Frank Wilson, who, of course, is the recruiting coordinator, the godfather of South Louisiana recruiting, the guy that we all know as the best recruiter in LSU history. You can argue in all of college football history, especially if you subtract head coaches out of that equation. And yeah, you know, the 247 composite, national 531 recruit, but he is rising. Now, the second thing I'll point out is from an LSU vantage point, this is their only defensive back committed up to this point. Now, a lot of that could change in the next couple of weeks, but in particular, this is a safety. Jhase Thomas is a pure safety. And one thing before we get into the scout is you do see a lot of special teams plays made on here. So hopefully that turns into some early special teams reps when he gets to LSU. Now, another thing I really like about this from an LSU perspective is Destrehan High School, right? Destrehan produced the absolute best defensive back of all time in Ed Reed. So I'm not saying he's going to be that good. I highly doubt that. I think most people would agree with that. But still, Destrehan, they produce big-time athletes. We'll see what Kalaj Cobbins does on the team now. But, you know, from a recruiting standpoint, this is just a really, really good job by LSU. Now, we get into Jhase Thomas, the player. I love that he is a pure safety. What we see a lot of times is you'll bring in a kid who didn't really play safety in high school, but you expect him to be a safety in college. Now, those types of recruits are ones that, you know, play quarterback mostly, or they play like slot receiver or whatever, and then they make the switch to defensive back. A lot of those guys do pan out to be good DBs. My point is, though, LSU desperately needs safety depth, and you do notice there are quite a few players that don't work out at LSU that were these offensive two-way types in high school, and they can't transition to a full-time defensive player. So that does excite me. Another thing that really jumps out to me with Jhase Thomas is he is an expert at making the touchdown-saving tackle. You'll see a lot of these plays he's making are pure free safety plays, and that is something that is been desperately missed by LSU these past couple of seasons. Just guys that make these tackles that prevent touchdowns. Another thing are the ball skills. Lots of interception, lots of ball stripping, lots of good ball reading that you see on Jhase Thomas's tape. He's really good at the point of attack. He's also very physical for a guy that has only been playing safety for a year. And I love that. And when he is around the football jars loose quite a bit, whether it's a fumble, whether it's, an interception. That's another touchdown saving tackle, some good athleticism to pop right up after the tackle. This guy really, really stands out, and I think he's just going to keep rising in the recruiting rankings. As you can see, when it comes to On3, they love him. They have him as a top 270 player. As you could see, the other services have him as a middle tier 3-star, but you love the genetics. His dad played in the NFL, Fred Thomas, most notably for a long time with the New Orleans Saints. And the reason why I thought he was going to go to Ole Miss is because his dad played at Ole Miss for a brief period. So I thought he was going to follow the legacy. But now we're going to do something that we've never done before on any of our recruiting tapes. And it's something that I was highly skeptical of at first, but it honestly makes a lot of sense. I saw on Twitter a lot of these clips or a lot of chatter about how dominant Jhase Thomas was in this spring game setting. So this game was actually played just a few weeks ago. So this is the absolute most recent tape. And it's a spring game setting. It's not as intense as like an actual game, but it is kind of game-ish reps versus a different team. And you see him here make a Chad Jones type of hit. You can argue he could have made a play on the ball and just batted it away. That's okay. If you're not going to do that, show me some physicality, which he did right there. This spring game was very impressive. Watch how fast he flies down here, makes the tackle, and the guy just bounces backward when you hit him. And that's particularly impressive for a guy who is not unfreaking believably big and not unfreaking believably athletic. He has a 11:07 100 meter, which is a fine time, not an elite time, but man, he's just solid. You see, the bad snap helped out here. You see him make a touchdown saving tackle here again towards the goal line. And this, to me, we're going to spend some time on this play, is one that I can't quit thinking about. It truly is a spectacular, once again, touchdown saving play in the red zone. So let's slow it down here. We get a little screen to the left. This actually is a really good play design by this offensive team. Fake screen to the right with the jet sweep motion, and you notice all the defenders are going towards the right, and then you have the screen that draws in 3 defensive linemen past the line of scrimmage, and the 3 offensive linemen that were blocking them are now releasing to the second level. So now you have Jhase Thomas man-to-man versus a big offensive lineman. Watch him take on this block, miss the block, and then make a very vicious tackle. Watch, he just stops him dead in his tracks. If he's not making that tackle, the receiver is definitely scoring. Not only do we prevent the score, it's only a 2 or 3 yard gain. That is unfreaking believably impressive. And that's why you saw so many people commenting, hey, Jhase Thomas played like a man possessed in this spring game. This is another really good angle right here, making a tackle out of bounds. And I believe this will be our last slow motion play. I understand this one isn't as impressive as the one we just saw, but it's still really good stuff. This is more of a poker thing, losing the minimum, right? Sometimes it's not about if you make a big explosive play. It's how can you prevent the damage. As you can see, this play is wide open for the running back. All he's got to do is make the safety miss, and he's probably scoring. And look at all the space that Jhase Thomas has to cover right here. He flies down aggressively to make this play, cuts off his angle. You see this running back, he's going 45 degrees instead of north and south. That's what we want to see. And before I give you this last little quip, I want to shout out our friends at NOPOD Roofing. Give them a call today, 504-810-8744. It's not just roofing, it's fencing. Anything home improvement related, give them a call throughout South Louisiana and let them know PHL sent you, and they'll give you a little extra discount, baby. But honestly, I am very excited about him. I love the fact that he loves the nuances of safety play. High IQ football player. I'm always on board with that. Special shout out to the NoOffSeason.com network, and we'll talk to you soon, baby. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Floating in your face. Some other fun content. And tonight we are doing lemon pepper chicken wings. Let's go!